Welcome back. Let's talk about applied geometry. I've downloaded 4 files from the class website that you're going to need. I have A size inches, DWT, that's a drawing template used to create new drawings with the right units and such. Then I have this car DXF, you're going to need that for one of the drawings we're going to do. I have the actual instructions for the assignment, and then I have some more instructions from the textbook on how to do applied geometry. So what are our goals for this assignment? Well, obviously we want to learn applied geometry. What is that, right? So try and get a feel for what applied geometry is. And the second reason is just an excuse to draw more stuff in AutoCAD, because we're trying to build AutoCAD skills, really. So I'm going to go through and draw about half of these things for you, and hopefully just watching me draw these things in AutoCAD will help you out. But first, let's look at the instructions from the book to try and understand what applied geometry is a little bit. So all of these techniques of applied geometry were figured out way before CAD systems using just rulers and compasses and things. So for example, here's a simple applied geometry problem, bisecting a line. So let's say you started with line AB and you wanted to find the midpoint, which is basically the line that would, the perpendicular bisector would go through the midpoint. So we have line AB, that's our starting point, and we go through this process and we find the perpendicular bisector CD, all right? So the process is basically you start with a line AB, and then you take your compass and you stick the needle part in A and you draw an arc, and you stick the needle part in B and you draw an arc, and you get these two arcs, and the intersection of these two arcs at points C and D gives you the perpendicular bisector, right? So line CD is the perpendicular bisector of line AB. All right, so that's the process. Now the process it's described down here in this section here to bisect a straight line. All right, so all of these instructions, the little diagrams and the actual steps that you can follow are right here. So I'm just gonna pick a couple of these and do them for you. All right. So in the instructions, the first drawing is this bisector here, and then I'm going to bisect an arc, and then here's bisecting an angle, and here's fitting an arc to an angle. Here's fitting an arc to an angle again. This is the most complicated one, an OG curve, so I'll do that one for you for sure. Then it's fitting an arc to two circles, to the inside of two circles, and then fitting an arc to the outside of two circles, then drawing a polygon, then that thing, a helix, and a parabola. I don't think I'll do the parabola, I'll let you guys do that. And then the last problem is a kind of a design problem here that uses applied geometry. Okay, so if you had a car hood and you wanted to fit a strut to this thing, where do you attach it so that the strut is fully extended when the hood is up and the strut is compressed when the hood is down? So this is an example of a practical problem, and I don't think I'll do it for you, but here's the instructions for you. All right, so let me do about half of these things. So let's start with this guy. Okay, I'm going to bisect a line. So I'm starting with just an arbitrary line in the middle of the screen. So let's get going. So I got AutoCAD here, and we'll click the New button, right? Click the New button, and then on the desktop I have this template, the DWT. Okay, open that, and you get this thing, and I can click the Zoom Extents button. I'll say, okay, so I'm just going to draw a line. There's a line. Okay, now I want to bisect it. So we don't have a compass, but we can draw circles. So C for circle. I want the center here, and now the radius, it needs to be more than halfway through the circle. So I'm just drawing it out. I'm stretching it out like this with the mouse, and then when I can tell visually that it's more than half, right around there, it looks like 2.5 will work. Okay, so I'll key in 2.5, enter. Now the second circle has to be the same radius. So start here and then key in 2.5. Okay? And that's it. And now if I draw a line from this intersection point to this intersection point, this line right here, that's the perpendicular bisector. So make sure you set up your this customization thing. Make sure you set that up with the F3 button working, the object snap that is, and then set up your object snaps like this, like endpoint and intersection are good. All right, that's the perpendicular bisector. I'll heavy that in. I'll make it thicker and I'll make it red. Okay, that's the first drawing. What's the second thing we need to do? We need to bisect an arc. It's the same thing here. I'll do that for you. So grab all of this and delete it. We'll draw an arc. So a command for arc, enter. Now there's let me just play around with this and see what I get. Yeah, that's what I want. So just the default arc uses 3 points, a beginning point, a midpoint, and an end point. So I've got an arc, and then C for circle, end point, and it looks like 2.5 will work again. And draw another circle at 2.5. That's almost done. So one more line from this intersection to this intersection, and this line right here is the perpendicular bisector. All right. What's next? Let's bisect an angle. Okay. So start with the line command and just draw an arbitrary angle. Okay. Then here's the process. You start a circle. Now, remember, what are the steps? You can also look in that other handout that I've got for the steps, but of course I have the steps more or less memorized, so I'm just doing it. So circle, endpoint, and this one can be, well, it can't be bigger than the line is, so it could be any dimension, that first circle. And what you've done is you've located a point in here and a point in here that you can draw 2 more circles at. So a circle at this intersection point, and draw it about so like 1.5, and then another one of the same size at this other intersection point. Draw it about 1.5. Okay, now the line, it goes through that point there, and this next point, it'll also go all the way to the angle. That's the bisector. So this line right here, I'll heavy it in. This line right here is the bisector of this angle out here. Okay, the red line is the bisector of the arbitrary angle. So I started with an arbitrary angle, and you can watch this over again if you need to, right? All right, I'll delete this stuff. What's next? I'd like you to fit an arc to an acute angle, which is the same as fitting an arc to an obtuse angle down in here. Okay, let's do that. So start with an angle. So I'm just going to use the line command and draw an arbitrary angle. Okay, the trick here is the offset command, which is a little bit cheating, I guess. I mean, they kind of had an offset with pencils and compasses. If you had a drawing machine, you had an offset. There's other ways to make offsets, but here's offset. So type O for offset. Then let's say I want to fit a 1-inch radius circle, so I would offset by 1, and then pick the line you want, and then the side. You know what? That's too big, so I'm going to start over. I just press escape a bunch of times. So O for offset. Let's do 0.5. Then pick the line you want and the side. Okay, and then do that again, the line you want and the side. And then we've located the center of our circle. So now we can press C for circle, center point, and you could key in the radius 0.5 if you want. You could just type 0.5 and enter right now, or you could go to your snaps and turn on perpendicular snap. Okay, then hover your mouse close to this line until you get this little perp snap. And do that. Okay, so this is the solution. We're really trying to draw an arc. You could draw another arc, or you could trim this. Let's trim it. So you know what? I don't want to trim it. I want to keep this line and this line and this circle. I just want to draw on top of it. So I'm going to do the arc command and pick 3 points. Okay, let me turn off the snapping to grid, because notice how the mouse is jumping around right here. I'm not interested in grid points, so right now I'm going to turn these grid points off, which is F9. So now it's moving much smoother in here now when I move the mouse, and I can just use the object snaps. So let me start over with the arc command. So A for arc. So there's a point on the arc, there's a point on the arc, there's a point on the arc, right? So I just drew an arc over the circle. All right, so there's an arc on top of the circle, and I'll make it red so you can see it better. Okay, that's bisecting. No, that's fitting an arc to an acute angle. Okay. Next, we've got fitting an arc to an obtuse angle, which is the same process. So do that. Okay, here's an OG curve. All right, let me talk through this first before I draw it. So you start with line AB and line CD. Okay, so AB and CD are just two arbitrary lines. Usually they're perpendicular, but they don't have to be. But let's keep them perpendicular. So they're perpendicular. I'm sorry, I said perpendicular, I meant parallel. Usually AB and CD are parallel, but they don't have to be. They're like in gymnastics, they have the parallel offset bars. They're like that. Okay, kinda. Anyway, we want to fit this curvy thing here in between B and C. So the process is you draw a line between B and C, it's just a straight line. Then you pick this point somewhere on line BC, and it doesn't have to be the midpoint. It could be any point. Then that leaves you with two segments, B to right in here, which I haven't labeled. There's that segment, and then there's from this point to C is the second segment. Okay, so you've got B to this little box, and then a little box to C. Okay, bisect both of those line segments. So that ends up with this line right here. That's the first bisector. And then this line right here is the second bisector. Okay, then you draw this perp coming down from C, perpendicular line. Then draw this perpendicular line coming up from B. Okay, then where this perp, sorry about the highlighting business, but where the perp intersects the bisector is the center point of a circle. Okay, that's this circle here. Then where this other perpendicular line intersects the other bisector, that's the center of this circle here. And then you fit arcs to those two circles that we just found. Okay, the instructions for that are also in somewhere in here. Right here, the instructions are here, and the figure is here. I think the instructions trickle over here somewhere too. But they're in here. Okay, let me draw it. Okay, so I start with a line. Okay, I'm gonna press F9 and turn the grid snap back on to get these lines nice. Let's draw it here out that way. Okay, then another line. here. You could use F8 ortho to make sure that they're horizontal if you want. Okay, so those are my starting lines. Now the process is draw a line from this endpoint to this endpoint. So right now ortho was fighting me a little bit. I could turn it off with F8. Play around with that. Okay, let's pick a arbitrary point. Right there. Now I want to bisect this segment right in here and bisect this segment right in here. So I'm going to use the bisection method that we did in the very first drawing. I draw a circle here about, let's make it 0.5, then another circle here, let's make it 0.5, and I chose 0.5 because it looked right, and I want these circles to overlap, right? So you need to make them big enough to overlap, which basically the radius of the circle is more than halfway through the segment we're trying to bisect, basically. So draw a line between, okay, now see how my cursor is jumping around? I got to turn off grid snap again. Okay, grid snap's off now. Now I'm trying to draw a line from here to here. F9 turns off the grid snap. That's the bisector, this guy. Okay, then draw a line from down here, draw it straight up. So there, pressing F8 ortho will make the line go straight up. Okay, and click escape out of that. So I've got this line and this line. I need them to intersect. Right? So there's different ways to do that. The way that I like is using the fillet command. So F for fillet, and then if you type in R or just click this radius button right here. Okay, and then make sure the radius is 0. You could key in 0 again. Okay, then click this line and then see what happens when I hover over this line. They intersect. Okay, and I'm going to delete the construction because it's getting in the way. Okay, that's what I need over there. Okay, now I need to bisect this segment from this point to this point. So I'll use the same bisection method. Let's start with circle. I want the radius to be a little bit more than half. It looks like 0.8 will work. And then draw another 0.8 circle. You just want your circles to overlap like that. And then draw the bisector. Okay. Then draw a line from this point straight down. Ortho helps. Then connect this line and this line. Okay, I was just selecting them, escape. To connect them, do fillet, R for radius, 0 for the radius, and then click this line and this line, and they get connected there. Okay, then I can delete the construction. All right, I have. What do I have? I have the lines that I started with, and I drew a line in between. I picked an arbitrary. I located an arbitrary point by drawing an arbitrary line. Then I bisected the two segments. And then I drew the perps, this one and this one. Okay, now I need to draw a circle. So circle, the center will be at the intersection of the bisector and the perp. So it'll be here to there. Okay, then another circle at this center to here. Almost done. Let's Let's switch the pen to heavy red, and let's just draw over all of this stuff. So I'll draw a line from here to here, another line from here to here. Okay, then an arc. Start. Okay, I don't want the endpoint because that endpoint doesn't intersect. I want. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna stretch this guy out. So this line, I want it to intersect the arc. So if I hover over it and then select stretch, I can so turn off ortho. Press F8 to turn off ortho. That's not what I want. Let's start over. So pick this line, hover over this point, pick lengthen. Yeah, lengthen's what you want. Then you can just pick another point out here in space and the line gets longer. Okay, now I can draw my arc. So point on the arc, point on the arc, point on the arc. Okay, then hit enter to repeat the arc command. Point on the arc, point on the arc, point on the arc. All right, that's an OG curve. What's next? Let's do this one. So we want to fit this arc tangent to two circles. Delete all of this stuff. Zoom extents. Circle. Let me back to bilayer and bilayer. Okay, circle. About so. Another circle. I just hit enter to repeat the circle command. Okay, play around with that till you're comfortable with, you know, entering commands and that kind of flow. I know I'm going a little bit quick on that, but you go slower. You do you. If I go too slow, you'll lose track of what I'm actually trying to do sometimes. Anyway, so here's an offset. 0.5 is good. We'll pick. So 0.5 enter, then the object I want to offset, which is this one, and the side I want to offset. Then the object again and the side. Okay, then I can escape out of that with the escape button and press C for a circle. I want a circle here and I'll just key in 0.5. Okay, so I could fit an arc over this. I could go to red and A for arc. I don't want perp. Let me turn off perp. Okay, I want intersection, intersection, intersection. That'll work. Okay, there's my arc, red one. All right. Okay, this one's a little bit harder. If I want it to, if I want this arc to be tangent to the outside, I can't use offset. I have to use this little formula down in here. Well, actually, here's the formula in the other instructions. It's this thing right here. So so I have two circles, and then I'm trying to fit an arc of radius r. So I'm trying to fit an arc between these two circles. So the way you do it is you draw a circle at the center of the first circle at radius r minus r2. So I guess that was the second circle. Then you draw a circle at the center of this other circle down here, circle at point B, and you draw it of radius r minus r3. Okay, so I've got r2 here, r minus r2 over here, and then I've got r3 here, r minus r3 here. Okay, let me go back and do that. So I'll switch to bilayer. I'll draw a circle. Let me zoom extents. I'll draw a circle here. Look, they need to be more precise because I'm going to be doing math. So circle at any point, but the radius needs to be a little more precise. Let's use 1. Okay, and I'll draw another circle here at 1.5. Okay, then I draw. So say I want to fit an arc of radius 5. Okay, radius 5. So this circle has radius 1, so 5 minus 1 is 4. So I draw a circle at the center, so I need center snap. The center of this guy, and notice you have to hover over the circle itself, not this actual, well, it does work. On the center, it does work. So get the center of this at 4, because I want the tangent arc to be 5 minus the radius of the little circle is 1, so 5 minus 4 is 1. 5 minus 1 is 4, sorry. So 4. Okay, then this 1.5 radius circle, draw a circle of radius 3.5 because I want 5 minus 1.5. Okay, then I can draw a circle at this intersection of the two previous circles of radius 5 and its tangent. Okay, so I had a circle here, a circle here, and then I drew a circle here that was 5 minus the radius of the little circle, and a circle here, which is 5 minus the radius of the medium circle. And the 5 was just arbitrary. I just chose 5. And then where these two circles intersect, I do a circle of radius 5, which is the arc I'm trying to fit. So now I can heavy over this with an arc. Go A for arc. Point. I need a point on the arc, which I don't have. You know, there's different arc commands you could use. Like I could do A for arc, and then click this center option down here at the bottom. Click center. Then it'll ask for the center point of the arc, and then a start and an end. So start here and. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to zoom in there to make sure I get the right one. I think it's this one, right? Yeah. Okay. There's that mess of stuff. All right. Okay, what's next? Let's do this hex. Okay. So I'll start with a line, and I'll turn on the F9, the grid snap, so that I get it on the grid, and I'll turn on F8 ortho. Okay, there's my line, which is in red, so I'm going to start over. Switch back to bilayer, color, draw a line. Okay, press enter, and then enter again to repeat the line command, if you'd like. Okay, now I'm going to use offset. I'm going to offset by 0.5, this line on either side, and then this line on either side. Okay, then I'm going to take this one and do a rotate about this point. Click the copy option down here. Key in, okay, I got to turn off F8 because it doesn't look like anything's happening. It's because of F8. Okay, you turn F8 off and you can freely move the mouse around a little better. So I want it to be about so. That's 60. How do I know? I can. I'm just eyeballing it. Really, it's not helping me at all. Let's key in 60. That'll work. Then take these two lines again. Do a rotate about this point, key in -60. Okay, there's a hexagon in there. So I'll switch to heavy red and I'll start drawing lines. Okay, turn off grid snap, F9. There to there to there to there to there to there. Okay, hexagon. Okay, watch that over if you need to. What's next? I'll do this. I don't think I'm going to do this or this. Those are up. I'll leave those for you to do. But let me do this. Okay? Because it's got some fun in it. So it's a helix. So I'll start with, I'm not sure what I just did, but let's escape all out. Then L for line. F9 and F8 on to draw a vertical line on the grid. Bilayer and bilayer. So that I picked this line and then I changed it back to bilayer and bilayer. And then when I'm done, I'm back to the drawing mode, kind of the line drawing mode, which is still red. I got to change it back. Should have changed it before I drew the line. But anyway, draw a circle with this thing, any size. Then draw a line, draw a horizontal line like that. Then do this array rectangular. Okay, array rectangular. This guy. Enter. Then go up to all of these dialogues up in here. I want one column and 20, I'm guessing, rows. And the distance between them, I want it to be minus 0.125. And you got a tab before it works. I think I want more than 20. Let's do 30. Okay, you got to move to the next field before it updates the screen. Okay, then when you're done, what do I do? I'm going to hit exit. Okay, then I got to draw some lines in. Well, here, you know what? Let me delete this guy. Let me draw a line. Just I'm using the grid to guess where the center is. Now take this guy and do array polar. Okay, array polar. Pick the center point. Then I think I want 8 items. And 8 items, and I want 15 degrees. And I want the 360 fill. Goes back to 45. What do I want? 20 degrees then? You gotta play with this stuff sometimes. So it's let's try 30 degrees and 180. Oh, it's not 30. 30. Why does it keep doing that? 180. You know what? That'll work. Okay, it's a little fiddly. You got to play around with that. Okay, now do this. Go to your object snaps and turn on intersection and perpendicular. Just intersection and perpendicular. Okay, then start drawing lines from these intersections all the way down perpendicular. Okay, another line from here perpendicular, and another line from here. Okay, keep doing that. And I'm pressing enter twice to get it to repeat the line command. Okay, draw that stuff. Then go go to, you want the spline command. So SP, there, spline, you want that. And it would probably be good to turn off perp snap here and just have intersection snap on. So now we're going to start drawing this kind of thing. We're just connecting the dots. Turn off the grid snap. That's good enough. Then to end this thing, C for close. It's telling me down at the bottom of the screen. It's giving me a couple of options, and C is, I don't want that. I want oh, shit. No, I don't want close. You know what? You guys play with that. You got to hit the right button. It's either right click or escape or some junk like that. Play around with that until you get this spline to be right. You want it to look like this. Okay. Do that. Do this. I'm not going to do this for you. We just kind of want you to figure out what to do here. Okay, it's a good exercise. Make you think, make you struggle a little bit. It's good for you. And then do this thing, and you need to open up the DXF file. Right here, I'll do that much for you. So click open, and I've left this car hood DXF on the desktop. Open that. Okay, and yeah, then solve the problem in here using the instructions that I've laid out for you. You know, right here. All right. Okay, great. Capture the screens for all of these drawings, put it in a PDF, email it to me. Thanks. See you next time.